I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. So, and Jesse, a bunch of interesting things have kind of unfurled for me in the past, no, couple of days since Sunday night. Actually, so concerning what might be planned by the cabal, and interestingly enough, there's a fellow on I never, like I said, I don't either, negate or condone anyone. I just want to share something if it seems to be, on point. And a friend of mine from this channel actually noticed this. Astral Urmah just posted on what I'm going to be talking about today. And the only difference I have from what he's saying, well, I have few things that I think are going to be different from what he's saying concerning a blue beam event. So the blue beam event, I've had a vision of something like this several times. One was quite vivid. It looked like the coast of Rhode Island, and several large motherships started coming in over the beach, and there were quite a few people there. I think there was some kind of festival going on in this vision. And they were just looking. They just stood there, and this is what's going to happen. And then the ships, but I had a funny feeling, and I'm there, like, this doesn't feel right, and starting to walk towards the hotel. There's a massive hotel there, and I was like, oh, what's up? So the people were just standing there, and then this thing starts to fire. The ships start to fire. It's like, oh yeah. And I try, you try to help people. They're all just kind of pretty much staring, and some people were running into the hotel. So I ran into the hotel. And I pretty much telling everybody, you got to get safe. We got to get down to the basement. I said, they're going to know. I'm explaining to them, they're going to know where we are and all that. You can't hide from these guys. But I think the best thing to do is to try to get down deep because we have these deep basements here that are made out of, stone and everything. So it was our only chance. So that was one vision I had. But I've had several visions of large scale ships coming, large numbers of ships coming in anyway. So what I suspect is that, wow, for decades, we've been groomed for a blue beam event. I don't believe it started during the age of the 50s and 60s. I don't really feel it coming in until after the beginning of the New Age movement. So I'm feeling somewhere in the 80s. When a lot of these people started coming out channeling and talking about all these, wonderful star beings, and they wrote books about behaviors and how we have to fix ourselves and how violence will come and all that stuff, and very, very very hypnotic type texts. So this was the beginning of the infiltration, if not even the creation of the New Age movement, and a deep infiltration of the extraterrestrial disclosure situation, lulling people into a false sense of security for decades now. I'm going to say since the 80s, and getting them very deeply involved in that kind of, semi-cultish type thing. Because at the end, it's all about giving up your power, searching outside of yourself, trying to find gurus, trying to find ways of being. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's when you give away your power, that's when you have a problem. So it's ramped up. And I think it's because a lot of pressure has been put on the cabal to begin to make decisions as to what they're going to do here, because I think they're losing a lot of power for sure. And the more power they lose, the harder things are going to get. So through the past decades, they've been formulating and kind of running through because they have looking glass technology. So looking glass technology doesn't mean they see the future, which people think, oh, they can see the future. They can see timelines, they can see potentials of what's going to happen in the future. So when you remote view, just like what I'm going to show you today, it is a potential, right? So there is no way of channeling the future into sort of a railroad track where it's going to happen a certain way. So the cabal has this tech, and they're able to see the different potentials that might come up in the future. So then they're able to sort of move their chess pieces and say, okay, well, if they do this, we'll do this. If they do this, we'll do this. And that's where we are right now. So whatever upstairs does, they have a counter plan. They have a counter plan. They have a counter plan. And one of them, I don't know why they're showing me this particular plan of the deep state. Now that doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's a possibility. And it would be a blue beam. So I think they've scrapped. I'm not getting any real heavy hits on the messianic one. Jesus is coming or some kind of religious figure is going to come and everybody's going to be like, oh, look at this. I think they scrapped that. I don't think it would work. So again, that was a possibility, but I don't feel anything with that anymore. I feel more it could be something like this, a fake alien invasion, but it won't be fake and it won't be alien. It'll be us. It'll be the Earth people. I don't know how because it hasn't manifested. I'm not sure what, and this is how they, the folks upstairs give me information. They'll usually give it to me in songs and in visions and then in kind of like subtle, because I think that's they have to be careful how they can't, and this is so important, they can't reveal their military plans. But secondly, we don't know what military plans we're going to need because we don't know what the deep state's going to do. So basically upstairs is kind of poking the bear a little bit and see what the bear is going to do. I suspect that it's going to be something like this is what they've been doing actually for the past decades is creating an atmosphere, this new age atmosphere. And now that we're getting closer to the breaking point for the DS, I think they're going to do something like what I call a Judas horse. And you have to be involved with animals, I think, to know what a Judas horse is. So when they round up the Mustangs out west, sometimes what they'll do to get them into the holding pens is they'll release a horse, a domestic horse near and his horse is trained to go. All horses want to go back home generally, right? So this is just simple domestic horse that they'll release, one or two maybe. And that horse simply runs back to the corral. And all the other Mustangs follow this horse because he looks like he knows what he's doing or she knows what she's doing. And that's the trick horse. And the horse isn't doing it on purpose, obviously. It's, she's running back home and they happen to follow. They say, hey, like this guy looks like, the Mustangs are panicking. They're like, it just is, it's so brutal. I mean, it's just, but we live in a Draco world. So the Mustangs are panicking and they see this horse that seems to know what he's doing. And they say, well, let's follow him back to the corral. And that's the Judas horse. And this is what they're doing now. They're taking people in the community. And it's this I've been kind of trying to break through it, like how, like what's this is when you got to use your cognitive capacity. Like, okay, so what's going on? First you might get feelings, and I know a lot of people say, I had a feeling about this person, man, ain't kosher. Like, yeah, then you start to think about it, right? Why doesn't it feel right? And they're going to be, and they have been using prominent individuals in order to pull the wool over the eyes of a lot of the disclosure community. So personally, I feel disclosure itself is all CIA. It's all deep state. There is no, there are people in it that think they're in something that's legit, but it's never going to be a real disclosure, what people think. I don't think, based upon potentials in remote viewing. So they're grooming the population, and they've really ramped it up since 2020, around that time. And it's become cultish, so if you've noticed, as people began to question some of these narratives, then they ramped it up even more, right? And then you saw a lot of attacks launched on every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Why would they launch attacks on me? I have a small channel, and even like they said, this person came out of nowhere. Like I got forced onto the screen. Um, they came out. Everybody comes out of nowhere at some point. So why would they care? Like I'm minuscule number of followers. Like under 40,000 followers. What the hell, right? They've got almost 200,000 followers. Why would they be so fixated? Because it seems like every time I do something, there's a significant counter move. So it's curious. That's curious. Something I want to bring, which I've been telling my clients, and why coming into your power is so important. Because if an event like this happens and it leads to open extraterrestrial warfare on Earth, everything that you're seeing in front of you, all those gurus, all the people you like, you don't like. People ask me if I like somebody. I don't like anybody. I don't pay attention to anybody. I just, I'll watch something and people show me something. And here's why. This stuff's going to disappear in a second. They're going to take down all of our tech. So all of these people that you really like and are wasting a lot of time watching, including me, everybody, anybody, well, there's nothing wrong with it, right? You're relaxing, you want to enjoy. I mean, we all do this, right? You relax, you watch some shows, just to kind of chill, right? That's fine. That's fine. Just don't put any interest in any of them, including me, because when they take all this stuff down, you're going to be all by yourself. You're going to have nothing. All of this stuff, all of the internet, all of these videos, all of these people who are, blood, sweat, and tears and making an entire world around their little, YouTube channels or social media things, it's all going to be gone forever. Never going to come back again. I can't wait for that day. Please make me now. I don't care about anything I do. It's all going to go away. So the point of that is everything that you're using as a blueprint. I know people who take some of these woo-woo new age ET books and they're like underlining stuff and memorizing stuff and it's good luck to you. It's become a religion, which is what the deep state wanted. So it's all going to go away. You're all going to be by yourself when this stuff unfurls, right? Unravels, whatever. It gets laid out. So my suspicion, again, it's the Judas horse situation. So you're going to have some prominent figures that are laying the groundwork for the deep state to roll this out. And here's what they're going to do, because and you see a lot of infighting in the community, but that's got nothing to do with it. They can fight all they want. The deep state doesn't care. They just kind of laugh at that. What's actually happening is they've tricked you into believing that these ETs are going to come out in their big ships, and show themselves. In fact, a lot of these people have even been doing that, where they have these big rollouts, these CE5 events of ships and craft, and getting people desensitized to seeing the craft, to feeling safe with the craft. And as you know, many of those craft are actually not extraterrestrial, they're military. So people are feeling, that's what they're doing. They're kind of lulling everybody into a false sense of security that the ET are going to come down and reveal themselves. Once you fix yourself, once you get Zen, once you find inner peace, once you're loving, once you find love and you love and you love and you love your neighbors and you love everybody, and let's sing all songs about love, 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 right? That's the lulling. So everybody feels safe. But those craft aren't extraterrestrials. They're not GFW. They're not Intergalactic Confederation. They're not whatever you want to call them, right? They're military craft. The military has, as you know, SSP, Solar Warden, Space Force. Anyone who tells you Solar Warden is good, well, that's a red flag right there. They're guarding the galaxy, the guardians of the galaxy. Yeah, right. Yeah, guarding the galaxy, my ass. The majority of abductions that not the only ones I've experienced, but the ones that I've heard from people, from my clients and people I talk to are almost 100% military. They're not gray. Some are gray, not saying they're grays. The grays are 100, they're involved. Those little shrimps with the big eyes, they're all there. Oh, they're there. But most people I've talked to 95% have been abducted by the military. And they've been on the floor of a TR-3B, or they've been in solar warden ships, and they're not guarding any galaxy. They guardian themselves. They're protecting their goodies. So they're lulling everybody into a false sense of security. And they showed me, like, see, remember this? Because I never watch, you know me, I don't watch movies. Like, I don't know any. They're like, you know that movie? They're like, they're talking about movies. I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch movies. You know this. You know this. Right. So they're like, oh, all right, well, so I remember this scene because I did watch some bits and pieces from Independence Day. Because I can't watch them, it gags me. But anyway, they're like, watch this. Okay. So there's a scene I posted on Facebook from Independence, one of the Independence Days, where all these, ET lovers, GFW followers, you know how that is, right? They all got their "We love you, alien" signs, and they're all welcoming in the ETs, right? Welcome them in. Let's all get together and have a big kumbaya CE5 welcome party. Okay. And they're all there, right? And they go up on top of this skyscraper and they're all, babbling off the new age shit, right? And the big mothership comes over, right? And they're all, oh, we love you, GFW. You're here to save us. Let's all have a big hug fest. And the ship opens up and, blast them. That's what's good. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. Maybe. But if they are going to do it, that's how it's going to happen. Well, I'm glad Astral Urmah brought that out. Now, one thing I have just two separations. I don't think they're going to do this way because it's too obvious, and they don't want to burn their cookies, right? Okay, you gotta have. There's so many layers to this. Astral Urmah calls out people. I don't do that. He calls out. Should I say it? I don't know. EDDH and JP. They're not going to be the ones. It's too obvious. They're not going to be the ones leading you to the slaughter. It's going to be somebody else. Yes, they're Judas horses, but they're not the one that's going to lead you to the corral. The one that they're going to use to lead you to the corral is going to be one you don't suspect. And this person or persons I'm not aware of this. They're not aware they're going to be used. Now, the other ones are fully aware they're part of the gang. They're part of the Sith, whatever you want to call them. They know. So they're not going to use them. They don't want to burn their cookies. They want to keep these people moving and grooving. It could be somebody like Dr. Greer. Now, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying he won't know. It could be your neighbor, the little old man that leads CE5s. It could be someone like Chris Bledsoe. It's someone that's not part of the Sith, who's, I'm not saying any, I mean, I'm not saying who is or who isn't. I'm saying it's going to be somebody that no one suspects. And they themselves aren't going to suspect. They're going to be a scapegoat, basically. So they're going to lead a CE5. It could even be a place where people go for CE5. So it isn't going to be you in your backyard, because that doesn't make any sense. They're not going to, no one's going to see it. If you get laser beams in your backyard, who's going to know, right? I mean, that's not, it's going to be somewhere where crowds gather. This is why I tell people, don't go to these conferences. Don't go to crowds. It's dangerous. It'll be a place where crowds gather, and a ship's going to come in, and it's going to be a government ship. It is not going to be a holograph. Now, there may be holograph ships there may be, but this ship is going to be real, and it's going to fire, and it's going to kill people because they don't care. So, and there may be several of these going on, and maybe a couple of situations like that. And this is obvious, and it's not GFW. These ships are not ET ships. They may actually be an ET ship commandeered by the Cabal. That's possible. And what they want to do is create that again, the New World Order, right? Right. Oh, we're being attacked by aliens, because as you know, the military and the government on this planet, all over this planet, pretty much all over, not everywhere, are in full possession of extraterrestrial capabilities, and they've been interstellar for a very long time, since the 1940s. And since the end of the 1940s, when certain countries made deals with Project Paperclip and, Fourth and Fifth Reich, Dark Fleet. You might be sitting in a Dark Fleet country right now. um, so that's how I'm being shown what's gonna roll here. So, and Inika's always said this. He actually went out in public yesterday. That was cute. Yeah, he went out in public. Um, and he said what, and I gave him an idea because when I was having him interview, pretend he was a journalist and interview people, I had him wear glasses, and he was actually wearing glasses when he went out in public, and he had a good time. Like I don't like to be out in public. He actually doesn't mind. He's very comfortable out in public. So yeah, that was nice. He got to get out finally. But as he always warns you, please do not trust these ships because you don't know, and you won't have time. And I know people know, and we do. Like, I can tell the difference between an ET ship and a military ship. It's like you're not going to have the seconds to do that. So don't put yourself in danger. A couple of things could roll from this. Well, one would be the New World Order situation. We're being attacked by extraterrestrials. Or two, it could roll out, they're going to come in and shut it down. So you may actually have that savior moment of our sleeper cells upstairs, the beer drinkers who don't seem to be doing shit. They may actually at this point. No, that's not true. They're not. They are doing stuff. But we're not very happy with the rollout. Anyway, what's going on? But they may actually come in at that point and interfere with what the governments are doing to prevent a New World Order situation. Whatever happens is going to be a major shit show. Anyway, which is where you guys are going to come in, right? Which is why I tell people, please don't watch anything, just for fun, including me. Everybody, we're all going to go away. They're going to knock out all of this stuff. There's not going to be any way. Now, I don't know if they're going to knock it out upstairs at this point, because it's possible, this is most likely, see, that the deep state's going to want to maintain a lot of this stuff. They don't want your, garbage TVs and all that shit. They don't want that going down right away because they're going to use that to fill your head with garbage, right? They're going to say, we're being attacked. The presidents are going to come out, oh, we're being attacked. All these, assholes are going to come out and be like, oh, they're real. The aliens are real. Oh, we need to all band together. And of course, all the nitwits are going to be like, yeah, we need to band together, So that it may still run for a bit. But anyway, that's part of what I was given. So what I want to actually talk about next, just quickly, which surprised me yesterday because they showed me a song which I hadn't heard in like 5,000 years. I'm like, what is this? And let me pull this up here. Right. So it's called Silent Running by Mike and the Mechanics. And I resisted, and they pressured, and they said, you have to watch this. I'm like, oh, all right. Okay. So I learned a little bit. So that the writer of the song, Mr. Rutherford, he says about the song Silent Running, Mike and the Mechanics, it's about a guy who's traveled light years away, out in space somewhere, and he's ahead in time. Therefore, he knows what's going to happen to his wife and kids back home on Earth. And he's trying to get the message to them to say what's going to happen. The kind of anarchy, the breakdown of society, to tell them to be prepared, which is what we're doing now. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, this is all right, guys. Okay, yeah, I can see where you're going with this. So that's actually the meaning of the song itself. I'm going to break down the lyrics. I'd like to show the video, but I turned the sound off because you can't play. So I'll just play it. I'm just going to do a quick screen share because this is stuff I've just to show YouTube, of course, the deep state runs YouTube. So just so that they know I'm not plagiarizing, taking away copyright stuff. This is from, so YouTube, this is from Mike and the Mechanics running, right? Silent Running. From a short I made using YouTube technology. So the rights to the song in this short that I'm going to play are all legit and copyright clean. Okay, guys, on YouTube, whatever, fuck you. Right? So here it is. So screen share. Okay. Open. Play.
Believe in me, I'm with the high command. Can you hear me? Can you hear me running?
Okay, so two meanings. Believe in me, I'm with the high command. Now, when I am going through these lyrics, I'm being giving messages. So they're telling me what they're trying to use the lyrics for. So you're going to have two sides of believe in me, I'm with the high command, and you're seeing that now already, right? You have all these people who are smashing you over the head. I'm the real one. I'm the real one. Listen to me. Don't listen to anybody else. I'm the real one. I'm the only one. That's a red flag. I mean, it just goes without saying. Believe me, I'm with the high command. Nobody else talks to ETs but me. I'm with the high command, right? So there's that side. Who are the Judas horses? And then there's the other side. Believe me, I'm with the high command, which is the cabal. And that may be a message that they're going to try to reveal to people, right? So all the people who drank the Kool-Aid and smoking the weed of all this stuff, believe me, I'm with the high command. That message is always going to come from your Judas horses or your cabal. And then when they say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Right? That's the one. And I'll play that back again, actually.
Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Calling you.
This is going to be your ET contacts. Pleading. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And this is going to be you calling back to them. Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? And this is why I tell people, everything that you see may disappear. First of all, you never want to go through anyone else for answers. You always want to go through yourself. You need to do this. You need, and they're pleading. That's why they're pleading with, can you hear me? Can you hear me run? Okay. This is going to be your ET handlers, the real ones, pleading with you to hear them. So the situation I can see now when I go back home and I see my parents and I see my brother, and I was talking to my brother the other night late and I can't sleep. And of course Ika. But my family back home, my mom and dad and my brother and Kyle and he's a pilot. And they're like, "Oh my God," they feel so helpless because both Ika and I are refugees, you know, abandoned all alone on this prison planet, and they can't reach us. So they can reach you telepathically. So this is what you have to do. And they've been pleading with you all along to develop these skills because it's going to be you need these skills to be able to either help others or just to help yourself. So
inside the doorway. Use it only in emergency.
So again, of course, obviously, yes. Part of the message of the gun and ammunition is you. So if this were to happen, this is the message I got, was that you guys are going to be turned on. I know everybody's been saying, where are my powers? Where are my powers? They can't give you your powers now because you'll be killed. And they turned my powers on when I was 16 and I got hit bad. And I know a lot of you have had a similar situation. So they tried to dampen me again, when I was a child, obviously, the DS, they know. And what they did to me because they didn't want to kill me. For some reason, they wanted me alive. And I'm not quite still sure why that is. And they still won't kill me, which is why I don't get hit. So I don't know why that is. But what they did was called a dark veil, and it's layers and layers of like psi infiltration, which we're breaking down, and it's been there to keep me sick all the time, to keep me in fatigue, to keep me in depression, to keep me in anhedonia. So that because they don't want me to use my abilities. But I tell you that, and that's the song is showing. When this happens, you're going to get turned on, and you're going to have your abilities, and that's the gun and ammunition. The other meaning of the gun and ammunition is that for those of you who do have these tools, you will need to use them. Maybe get them, have them ready. Anyway, I got to be careful what I say. It's YouTube. So if you have, if you're LTC like I am, get your stuff. And I tell people, do not ever comply. Do not comply. This is where the telepathy is going to come in to save your life. Because no one here in any sort of official situation is here to help you. Never, ever let them get a hold of you. So that's that. Knock that off for a bit. So to go back to the rest of the lyrics, so I can break it down to what they told me, to what these lyrics are about. So I already told you the meaning of the song, which is, yeah. Like, wow, okay. Yeah. I remember this when I was a kid, this song, and it kind of got my attention. But when you're a kid, you don't put a lot together. So here you go. Take the children and yourself and hide out in the cellar. And that actually, I'm like, oh my God, that was the vision I was telling people. I'm like, come on, we got to get down to the cellar. We got to get down to the cellar. So yeah. By now, the fighting will be close at hand. Don't believe the church and state, well, okay, and everything they tell you. This is from the father, who is, again, this would be the father of this family who was in space, telling them about a blue beam event or an open war. And this child, and of course the kid, maybe some kids in your family are going to be one getting this information, right? So please listen to children who are not all, vacued up and screwed up and, lost to the fog there. If you have children around you or in your family that are still clear-headed, they're the ones who are going to be clear channels to telepath with upstairs. And the father in the video, in the music video here, he is telepathing with his son. He has an extraterrestrial come down and in the beginning of the video and hand the child a key. And he says, I'm here as a messenger from your father. He was in space. So don't believe the church and state and everything they tell you. Believe in me. I'm with the high command. So there will be, as I said, those extraterrestrials who are contacting you, real extraterrestrials who are going to be giving you information. And then, can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me calling you? So that's what you're going to get. So I don't want that. This may be a wrong song meaning story. I don't want an advertisement. Wait a minute. Darn it. I picked the wrong one. Wouldn't you know it? Okay. I picked the wrong. All right. Back to a clean, non-advertising lyrics. Okay. So after the chorus, it's there's the gun and ammunition just inside the doorway. Use it only in emergency. And again, that's very extraterrestrial. Don't go around shooting everybody. Right? Better you should pray to God. The Father and the Spirit will guide you and protect you from up here. Okay, so that is, as you all know, not the religious ones. Pray. So you ask for help upstairs, right? Pray to God, the God inside you. Listen to within you, the Father and the Spirit, your body, your mind, and your soul, your consciousness, right? The real God. The one that Jesus was trying to explain to all the half-wits before it all got taken away, right? And used and commandeered by the regressives. the God within, your connection to source, your connection to upstairs. So that's where that will guide and protect you. Not me, not any of the other assholes out there, right? You and your direct ET contacts. So the chorus goes again, and there's the bridge. Here you go, of course. Swear allegiance to the flag, whatever flag they offer. That's the New World Order, right? Never hint at what you really feel. So if you're that makes sense, right? And be very careful who you reveal information to. Never hint at what you really feel. Teach the children quietly. For someday sons and daughters will rise up and fight while we stood still. And this is you right now. You're the one that's going to be rising up and doing these things. So in this video from Mike and the Mechanics, you can play that. I don't know if I can. I took the sound off actually, so maybe that's okay. I can show some of it here. So in the beginning, the boy's having a birthday party. So I think I can show this. There's the house. And there's the boy looking upstairs where his father is. There's the birthday party. There's the boy again. And here's the man from outer space that comes down and tells the boy that I'm with your father and you're going to get information from him. And here's the key, right? Here is the key. Probably reminds a lot of you of what your childhood was like. I know it reminded me. You know, I'm going to give you information. So those who've been guided. Now this actually is weird. I saw that the other night in a vision. Sunday night, I had that in a vision, exactly like that. That's crazy. So there's the upstairs. There's the binary code information. And that's the father, you know, telling the kid, can you hear me? You know, they even got a band up there. Cool. No. There's also a movie, Silent Running, which is a space movie. Also interesting. This is activation for all you guys, by the way. Right? All the idiots telling you you're not, you know, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But when you're a kid, you're like, I know this shit's real. A lot of you probably remember being in your bedroom talking to upstairs. So there's kind of this, so what might have happened. So that the father and how he ends up upstairs and all that's the stories. Cool. All right. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of messages through music. Always did. Always will. It's good code, actually. That's how they use it. Because then you decode the music. So the bad guys really, you know, this is kind of hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I really like the end of this video. So the good guys come in, and maybe that's what's going to happen. Once the bad guys do their thing, and maybe, yeah, we're going to have some clean out and literally, you know, full contact at that point, once they get rid of the aerosols. So the boy goes into his room, and there's a holographic projection. There's the father. There's singing to him. There you go. So the mom in this video is one of the sheepies. You know, she's kind of a archetype of the sheepers. So nothing like a good old fashioned music video from back in the day. I screw it up. I'll use, there's the father talking to him. I want to get to the end, actually. Get to me putzing here. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is where the boy is in his room, the room. Here comes the sheepy mother. She's clueless, as all the people will probably be. She walks into his room. Yeah, what's all that light? That's so weird. That's so not like what I do. And I love the ending. There's the mother. Oh my God, I'm so backwards. So the end of this and they go up in space. So the boy gets extracted. Love this ending. I'm like, please, please. The sheepy mother comes in and the little boy's like, fuck yeah, I'm getting out of here. And he gets extracted. So yes. That is the goal. Eyes on the prize. Extraction. Yeah, liberator. That's nice. Let's plan on that. But then get the hell out of here. So I really like that. So again, the point of this video is just to be some of this stuff. Like, I can't believe Sunday night I had a vision of what they were showing, exactly what was shown in that music video. I'm like, why are they showing me this? This is new lights. I haven't seen these lights before. So they were setting me up for this, and Ika's been talking about this, like I said before, for a while. Wrap everything up here. This is just a remote view and possibilities, potentials. Thanks, Linda, potentials of what might unfurl. I don't know when. Again, we don't know when because they're poking the bear, and we're waiting for the bear to react. So we don't know what the deep state's going to do. I feel that this is what I got was that the more we push, the faster all this stuff will unroll. So the more we do things like this, the more we upset the deep state. And the more things will move faster so we can get extracted and get the hell out of here. So that's the message. Just be careful. They're going to they may very well pull out a Judas horse. They're going to lead you into a very dangerous situation. And it may not be the Judas. Remember with these guys, everything's trick or layers of trick. So the Judas horse may not be the one you think it is. It could be a very innocent individual that they're going to use as the Judas horse. And you're going to go to an event like that, a CE5, a conference, whatever, and get blasted. It may not even be ET related. They may actually do this in a city somewhere. They're going to do, all I'm going to say is they're not going to do it in the middle of nowhere. They're going to do it somewhere prominent. And because we're saying this now, and Astral Urmah also mentioned this, of their main players, they will not use the main players. Now, they will continue to use these main players to feed the public information, to feed the public baloney. But I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I just don't think, I'm getting a real strong feeling about this, these main operatives will not be the one in the blue beam itself. So, like I said, but it's possible. I would never go near them anyway. Obviously, it's extremely dangerous to be near these beings, these Earth people that are doing this, that are working, on the Sith side. So, how do you know people are Sith? You just know inside you. Firstly, you shouldn't be following anyone. Secondly, you get a feeling, and you know what's real and what's not. But always ask your family upstairs and your own knowing, whatever. Right? That's so because everything that you see on social media is gonna when this actually happens, when the real deal happens, it's all gonna go away, never to be seen of again. Thank God. I can't wait for that day. And hopefully we get the extractions. So yeah, that's where we are. So cool beans. I said so. Can't wait for the shit to happen because this limbo period is really getting to stink, and it is what it is, right? So great. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us today, and to kind of I always ask people to kind of use your own and let me know certainly in the comments what you've been getting, what kind of hits you've been getting, the intel you're getting from upstairs, or wherever you get your intel, right? Share it with us here. so we can share information. Please don't slander it. I know I don't. I know you guys aren't that kind, but I mean, don't do this stupid slander stuff. We'll leave that to DH. She's so good at it. But you're bananas. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, I always say the evidence is what is outside, and the evidence will reveal the truth. So, cool beans. All right, guys. We'll see you.